Welcome to the Future Proof Leader podcast. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Jessica Rapach, co-founder of Twin Legacy Solutions, a company specializing in AI and leadership consulting that helps organizations build client outreach, stronger teams, and future-ready leaders. Today, I'm very excited to welcome Terri Reynolds, of Levitate Logic and Consulting. She's bringing a powerful perspective as we explore today's topic, leveraging AI to scale coaching and consulting businesses in 2026. Terri, we're honored to have you. Thank you for coming. I'd like to open it up by just having you tell us who you are, what your company does.
Well, thank you, Jessica. Thank you for having me. My name is Terri Reynolds. I am the founder of Levitate Logic and Consulting. Actually, Jessica, we just went through a name change. And so our legal name is Levitate Legal and Consulting, but we're now doing business as Levitate Logic and Consulting. And I'm an attorney by trade. And so when we started the firm, a lot of the consulting work that we did was married with legal principles, but now we've moved to where we're really focused on strategy around fund development for local governments and nonprofit organizations, around compliance, which does have some legal aspects to it. We provide training and facilitation around fund development. And when I say fund development, I mean, how do we go find dollars for big ideas, whether it's through grants or incentives or sponsorships, partnerships, otherwise? How do we develop the funding to carry our visions to reality? So there's strategic planning to that. And then another aspect of what we do is one-to-one thought partnership for executive leaders in local government and nonprofit organizations. And so we're partners to our clients. We service cities and counties and nonprofits all over the Southeast, and we have a few clients in the Midwest and Northeast as well. I have been doing this work for almost 10 years now, but my personal background from the time I came out of law school was working in a legal capacity with city and county governments. And so I'm a firm believer that real change happens at the local level. That happens at the intersection of our mayors and our city councilors and county commissioners, and then those nonprofit organizations that exist that are trying to partner with them to make communities a better place. And at Levitate Logic, we want to be that external partner that gives them the support, the strategy, and the capacity that they need to change communities. And that's what we do every day.
Wow, you're making big moves in the community. That's absolutely wonderful. Well, thank you for what you do. I'm sure you've changed a lot of lives. So let's dive right in. Thank you for the introduction. The first question I'd like to get your perspective on as we head into 2026, what shifts are you seeing in how coaching and consulting businesses are scaling compared to just even a year ago, 2 years ago?
Well, I think the rapid acceleration of AI has enabled service providers like myself and others to scale capacity in a thoughtful and measured way. I mean, we all know if you're tinkering with AI, you know that it can do all of the things much more quickly than we can. And so using that and leveraging that has allowed a lot of us to scale. I know it's certainly something that we've leaned into at Levitate in training our AI models that we use to be able to help us accelerate the pace of the work products that we're able to provide our clients. Another way that we're scaling and that we're seeing our colleagues scale is just through automation as well, and really investing the time and the resources to make systems within our internal infrastructure talk to each other and work together so that a person can take their hands off of it. I know for us, it's been a steep learning curve. We certainly have been able to recapture a lot of our time by putting some tools and processes in place. But with AI in particular, it's changing every week. And so keeping up with that is a job in and of itself. And
Yeah.
then also understanding the ways that automation can continuously improve our processes. But yeah, for us, for what we're experiencing internally and what I'm seeing externally, AI and automation have just been a game changer, particularly for smaller shops like ours that, it's typically all hands on deck trying to do all the things. These are providing, the capacity of one or two or sometimes more bodies within our infrastructure to help us get the work done.
So Terry, it sounds like you guys are ahead of the game. So many people you've been having on the podcast lately, they're definitely starting the process of leaning into AI, but it sounds like your company's fully grasping that. And obviously you have such a big mission, so I'm sure the impact has tripled by enabling and leveraging AI instead of, crawl. A lot of businesses seem to be crawling into the concept, but it's coming, like you said, every week has been rolling out new AI systems. I own an AI company, and we are keeping up with the research, the technology, and leveraging all the updates on the AI that comes out. And it's incredible the amount of the speed that has been coming
Yes. Yes.
with the adaptions and stuff is just incredible. How do you think traditional growth methods are becoming less reliable for consultants and coach today compared to the new methods that we have now?
Well, I think that because how quickly anyone can access information and research now with AI, we can't just rely on our personal experiences and knowledge because with AI, you can access the experience and knowledge of thousands of people within a second, and it's at your very fingertips. And so it's forcing those of us who sell our experience and knowledge for a living
Yep.
to keep up with that. You mentioned something, Jessica, about kind of slow walking into AI. And I think the first time I was introduced to an AI platform and I saw how quickly it could turn around information, I personally made a decision for our business. Either we're going to not do this or we're going to lean all the way into doing it.
Yeah.
And the more I learned about it, the more I was like, I don't know how I can keep this business going if we don't lean all the way into it. So, I didn't really talk about this in my intro, but a big part of what we do, we're putting together proposals. We're putting together strategic planning documents. We're taking things from out here and putting them on paper. Um, and so to the extent that my team can get in the conference room and we can have our AI engine up on the big screen and we're throwing in ideas and it's spitting it back out and making suggestions. We had to lean into that or we're going to be left in the dust. So I think as far as growth, when you essentially have the increased capacity and thought partnership of AI, that has to be part of your growth planning because there's really no other way to get that level of knowledge and access so quickly. Without a doubt, I think we did really good work before, Jessica, but we're doing it at 2 or 3 times the pace that we could have previously. And that's where the growth has been for us.
And that's amazing. I love how you are leveraging AI instead of letting it replace. You talk
Yeah.
about how you're not letting AI replace your thoughts, but you're saying that you're using it as an asset to
Mm.
triple your speed and how you're helping your clients. So a
Yes.
lot of companies will come on and say, "Well, I'm just scared because, AI is trying to take over everything." But I think we all realize at the end of the day, just like the internet came out, the iPhone came out, you still need that human interaction. That's going to be very, very critical for our economy, our community, just our personal selves. We don't, we need that human element, especially with coaches. AI can get personal, but coaches, it's talking to a coach or a consultant face to face. And these times is also, and there's an emotional element that people still very much need that AI can't deliver. So I
Yeah.
love that you're leveraging the AI resources that you have just to excel your human component with your coaching and consulting and your outreach to organizations. That's amazing. So many coaches are talking about AI, but very few, like I mentioned, have scaled with it. So, in your opinion, what is the disconnect there? Fear, the unknown, lack of training?
Yeah, I would probably say all of the above. And as much as we have leaned into it, I mean, I will say for me there is a component of it that's scary because I don't know what I don't know, and I know that there's a lot out there, and as we said, it's changing so quickly. And so, I know we're really trying to stay on top of the trends. And so I do think there's a fear component there. And then I also think just learning how to use it. I love what you just said about it replacing the human experience. And our company had three New Year's resolutions for 2026. And that, what you just said was the last one, is leveraging AI for the benefit of our clients, but not at the expense of human experience and connection and relatability and all of those things. Because at the end of the day, AI is still just software and technology. It didn't have a childhood. It doesn't have real friends, all of the things that we bring together. And so I do think for particularly for folks who do coaching and one-to-one thought partnership, kind of embracing that concept that, all this AI tool can do is take what I know and help me package it more efficiently, help me communicate it more effectively, and possibly even help me build on it in ways that I have not thought about, but it cannot replace me. When you get comfortable with that idea, then I think it's easier to lean into it. It took me a while to get comfortable with that idea, but once I started seeing the benefits on the other side, not just for me, but even for our team, Jessica, like them being able to use our systems to ask questions that they would previously have to ask me. But now they can ask this question here, and I feel confident that they're going to get an answer that I will agree with and align with because I helped teach it. It has been a game changer. So, yeah, I think fear and, not an understanding of the best way to leverage it are probably the two biggest things that are keeping coaches in particular from diving in head first.
Absolutely. No, completely agree with you, Terry. Another component of AI, I see, obviously, I work with a lot of AI systems. How do you feel businesses are using AI for lead generation? So you talk about in your business how you kind of use AI to expand upon the human connection and ideas on how to help make your ideas a little bit broader. But as far as using AI for other things like gaining more clients, or you said you've already implemented it for workflow, which I love because virtual assistants, things like that, really freeing up your time. But does your company use AI to find clients, to find leads, to grow your business, or are you using it more internally for workflow and idea flow?
We're using it more internally for workflow and idea flow now, but we are trying to learn how to use it for lead generation and to help us grow the business. One of the ways that we've kind of dipped our toe in the water there is the type of service, professional services that we provide. There are a lot of requests for proposals that come out, and we're trying to stay on top of those and knowing when there are opportunities that we could submit proposals for. And so AI has kind of assisted us in being able to identify some of those opportunities and, be ahead of what's coming down the pipeline before we were missing a lot. That's just one way we're using it, but that's something for us that we really want to lean into because now I feel like we've made a lot of progress in like leveraging AI to increase our capacity. Well, what are we going to do with this capacity? We need some more clients, all right? And so
Right. Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
we're trying to figure that out, but that really is an area that is new territory for us.
Yes, it is. It is new, and a lot of people don't really know what's out there. A lot of our clients, they come to us for a lot of AI solutions, but my favorite is the lead generation. So I talk to the businesses that are afraid to incorporate it in their business for workflows. They're not quite ready for that. So why don't you use it to find more clients to grow your business? But you're kind of ahead of the game because you're already using AI, like you said, to maximize your resources. So now you need those clients coming in that you can help more people, which is what we're made to do in this world, to outreach and find as many people to connect to and help in the long run. So that's great. So talking about the next topic, where do you see most coaching and consulting businesses hit a scalability ceiling? Or do
Mm.
you see that? Do you see that it's hard for businesses to scale?
On coaching and consulting, it's, I was just talking about this earlier. And for us, one of the things that we have been trying to do is like, how do we package our services and make them more like a product? When you have a product, it's like, here, take this nice thing, and it's easier to reproduce and hand it off to the client, and the client gets that value. And so we've been spending a lot of time on that. So I think there's a big opportunity depending on what sort of coaching you provide or consulting you provide. If they're, templates, workbooks, workshops, webinars, books, all of these things that we can also create at an accelerated pace now and packaging those and selling, instead of a service, this product. I think there's a huge opportunity for scaling there. That's something we've really been exploring as a company, and there's a real need for that. It takes from doing the fishing for your client to teaching your client how to fish. And so I think that's a big opportunity for consultants and coaches to scale. I think another opportunity for scaling and growth is through partnerships. A lot of us are in small shops, 2 to 20 employees, and we've been leaning into partnerships, people who do what we do as a way for us to increase capacity to go after bigger clients, and also, partnering with people whose work is adjacent to what we do so that we can offer a broader set of services to the clients that we service. For example, you work in AI. Well, I'm not an AI expert. I can tinker with it, but a lot of our clients really need to understand how to incorporate AI as part of their organizational strategy. And so, partnership with Jessica would be great for Levitate because that gives us something else that we can offer to clients, and everybody wins from that. And so those are two areas that we're really looking at, that partnership and product packaging in the work that we do.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. We do get that a lot. We have a lot of companies ask us for training or coaching in that specific realm because there is a need for it right now. And our whole job is just to study and research AI so that people can do what they do best, their own business. But like, on that topic, I love to ask when this comes up, where does that training begin? A lot of people tell me how they're new generation workers. They're all the Gen X is what they're calling them. They're very tech savvy. They're very quick to learn technology. So does the AI training start at the executive level and then work its way down? Does it happen in conjunction? How do we do this? How do we incorporate this AI leadership?
I think that's a fantastic $1 million question. And this is just my instinct is there's different needs at different levels. And so, we talk about using it here to just help us actually get the work done. And so I think there's probably a level of folks, especially as you start getting into bigger organizational structures, that need to understand how can I use this to improve the accuracy of my work product and increase the speed in which I can produce this accurate work product. And then there's that executive level, though, is really understanding how do we properly weave AI into our culture? What type of policies do we need so there's the right guardrails there? What are the legal implications? What privacy implications are there? Certainly, those are things that executives need to be thinking about so that it's integrated in a responsible way. So I don't know the answer to that. My instinct, though, is that there's probably different blocks of training that exist depending on, what segment of your workforce you're trying to target it to. But when you figure the answer out to that, please call.
Well, we get a lot of different clients. Some like to start at the executive level. They want to make sure, I guess their fear is that the CEO, the founder, isn't on board with X, Y, and Z. So it needs to start at the top. Now, I was a military officer for a while in the Marine Corps, and you talk about that lead from the front mentality. So I lean more into the starting at the executive top, and you're right, the SOPs, the privacy, the liability, all of those things should be worked out, right? Before you tackle AI. And even if you choose not to use the AI, it's already there. It's there. Your employees are probably using it.
Yes.
The systems you already have. So I'm also have a IT background for the government, and a lot of those systems, the very big names that we know, they've already incorporated AI within the systems. You might not even know about it. So I mean, in my personal opinion, I think it should start it from the top, that big box organizational goal for AI and how you're going to run it in your company, and
Yeah.
then let the CEO and founder decide how it's going to go, and how much training and how rapid pace training that you want to do with it as you move forward. But I don't know if
Yeah.
there's a right answer. I think we're all unique in our situations with our companies. Some are big, some are small, mid-size. It might be very dependent on sections. AI training for HR might be very different than AI training for your sales team.
Yeah.
So,
That's interesting. That's fascinating. And yeah, just how like it's so big and so changing and there's so many components to AI. So yeah, that's a big question and I like that approach though. I think any real change starts at the top. Has to start there, and the CEO and the executive has to be bought in order for it to really become part of the company culture. And to hear you say that, Jessica, and to just kind of think about it from where it's landed, even with us with Levitate, I mean, I think all of our team members leverage it in some form of fashion and probably in a very similar way that as I do. And it's because we took the time as a team to get around the table and this is how I use it. This is how it works. And so it did start at the top where I don't know. I think in this moment, I've just realized that I've made it part of our culture in that way. But no, that's very, very insightful.
yeah, I love to end with that question because I like to see the different answers that I get. Some people, are like, I don't know. So it's really nice to see where that one goes. But Terri, it's been an honor. Thank you again for being our guest today. Before we turn in, can you just tell our audience where they can go? Do you have a website? Like community wants partnership all the time. So how can we find you?
Yeah, so we are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram as Levitate Logic. You can also find some of our handles are still Levitate Legal. And so if you can't find it at one, you can find us at the other. Our website is levitatelegal.com. Within the next 48 hours, you'll also be able to access the site at Levitate Logic. Thank you for giving me that opportunity to share that, Jessica.
Absolutely. It's amazing. Congratulations on your growth. It sounds amazing. Thank you for joining us. We're going to wrap things up to our listeners. Thank you so much for spending your time here on the Future Proof Leader. We appreciate you being part of our community, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Bye, Terri.
Bye. Thank you.